Hi guys, so a new version of DaDaBIK is out, DaDaBIK 11.10 Elba. This release was unexpected, but during the last days I worked a lot on the DaDaBIK engine, basically an application I'm responsible for, a DaDaBIK based application, very complex, lot of users, lot of activities every day, complex queries, was starting to be quite slow. So I worked on optimizing it on two sides. On one side, on the logic, the queries, the custom queries used for the specific application, and on the other side, also on DaDaBIK itself. While working on that, I ended up doing three main changes that can in some cases really increase drastically your performance, the performance of your DaDaBIK application. And to show that, I have an application here, a test application. I'm basically using the same database for two DaDaBIK applications. The applications are identical, but one is based on DaDaBIK 11.9 and the other one on DaDaBIK 11.10. So the latest one. This is the application. By the way, I'm using a very cheap and basic shared hosting service on A2 hosted. And yeah, this is, a sales table having 500,000 items. For each sale, we have an ID, a date time, the shop, the related shop, and the amount. Shop is a lookup field. If we enter the record, we will see that we have several other lookup fields: customer, product, shop, salesperson, payment method, and yeah, that's it. So this is the let's say main table, and then we have other tables here, which are the lookup tables: customers, payment methods, products, sale, people, and shops. Okay. All right. And okay, let me show something now. So this is the new application. You can see it here. Okay, new. This is based on DaDaBIK 11.10, and here we have old DaDaBIK 11.9. The application is in maintenance mode because that way I can show you the query that has been executed and the amount of time needed to process the page by DaDaBIK. Okay, so we have the table, sales table here, 10 items per page here and there. Okay, let's try to do something. For example, let's sort by shop. Shop is a lookup field, so it's a kind of intensive operation. So I sort by shop, and the amount of time needed is for processing the page is 1 second dot 2. This is the new release. Okay, maybe let's try to reload the page to see again 1.2, 1.2 again, 1.19. So more or less this is the amount of time needed. Maybe we can try to change page, and still more or less this is the amount of time needed. Let's go to the old version of the application and let's do the same. Shop. And we have 3 seconds 79. So a really different processing time. Okay, let's try to reload. Again, more or less the same amount of time. Page 2. Again, this time more than 4 seconds. As you can see, there is a huge difference. This is due to 2 factors. The first one is, as you can see, the query executed by DaDaBIK. So in the new version, only the fields that you have in the results grid are selected, as you may notice. In the old version, also the fields that you don't have here but you have in the details page are selected, and this makes the query more complex, obviously. Okay, this is something that was I mean, this old approach was well known. I was aware of that, but for some legacy reasons has been there for a while. But now the query is way simpler. Okay, so obviously the amount of time you save depends a lot on your specific case. There are a lot of factors that impact on the amount of time needed to process. For example, sorting by a lookup field is a particularly in this situation, having 500,000 records, having a lot of 5 I think lookup fields. This makes the query complex. In other situations, you can notice a smaller difference. In other situation, maybe an even bigger difference. For example, in the application I was referring to at the beginning of the video, we had for a lookup field, we needed to use for a lookup field as linked table a view for several reasons. A very complex view. If you just need to select all the records from that view, like a simple select asterisk from name of the view, it took 2 seconds. Not in DaDaBIK, in phpMyAdmin, to be processed. And obviously, if you are in a situation like that one, if you need that view in your main query, the one here in the results grid, well, this makes the main query very complex. Okay, instead, if you have that situation, but you only have that lookup field in the details in the edit form and not here in the results grid, well, that query, the one related to the view, won't be executed in the if you're using DaDaBIK 11.10, but it would be executed if you use DaDaBIK 11.9. All right, so this was the first factor, but there's another factor, and it is related to how DaDaBIK count records. When you execute a search, but even if you just click on sales here, you got 500,000 items found. If I do something like this, I get a different thing, like a different number of items, obviously. So this count now is executed in a more efficient way. And that's the second factor that can improve a lot your performance. But to enable this new way, you have to set a configuration parameter that is called, sorry, I have to read the name because it is quite long. Use long select query for count. Obviously, you will find that in the change log. You have to set it to 0. Okay. Why I haven't set it by default? Well, I'm pretty sure that everything will work, but I just want to be safe and to guarantee backward compatibility. I prefer you change the parameter while you are testing your application. Maybe when you are sure that you are the only user of the application, and if everything works as expected, then you keep the parameter to 0 to enable this new way of counting records. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure that you shouldn't have issues, but just to be safe, for DaDaBIK 11.10, you have to enable this this new way of counting records. Probably starting from the next release, it will be 0 by default. But just for 11.10, let's keep it safe, let's say. So, again, I'm simplifying a little bit now, but just as a general rule, the more complex are your queries, the bigger will be the performance boost you will see upgrading to DaDaBIK 11.10. So I strongly suggest you to upgrade. You should also consider that right now I am literally the only user using this application. But if you think about many users accessing the application and using the application, so executing queries, even a little improvement can make the difference. Okay, can also make a huge difference, because maybe if your application is already under pressure, maybe you are in a situation where you should upgrade your server, but if you upgrade the DaDaBIK to the latest version, your server will be still fine. Okay, you have to test, and I would be glad to to know if in your specific use case you see better performance with the latest version. Another change I did was related, has an impact on the insert form. If and only if you are using the set default custom function, so in insert forms, you know that you can set a default value for a field. If for setting the default value you use custom functions or SQL, well, then with DaDaBIK 11.10 you could see a huge difference in terms of time needed to create the insert form. Okay. In the previous version, if you used an SQL-based default value or a custom function to set the default value, you could experience a huge delay when the insert form was created. Okay, so that's another thing that has been improved. Other new features in this version, well, basically just two things. You have a new date format, to format your dates here, and you have an additional new language. Traditional Chinese has been added. You will find all the details in the changelog, obviously. Also, several bugs have been fixed, code bugs and documentation bugs. Some of them are important, so again, check the changelog, and I strongly recommend to upgrade. All right, so that's it basically. So let me know if you have issues and if you have seen better performances with the new DaDaBIK release. Okay, so see you next time. Ciao.